am 69, be 70 in March. I've just learned how to love.
Clifton Powell is in his 70s and at a roundtable literally called Black Men Trust Black Women. He got called out by Joseph, a younger black man, for admitting that he had been unfaithful throughout his relationships, treated women poorly his entire life, and now that he's in his 70s, he wants a stable and committed relationship.
The thing that happens is, too, you live your life for so long, and I'm not meaning no disrespect by this.
It's all right to say, bro.
But when you hit your 60s and your 70s, I want to be right.
And when he was called out, instead of accountability, instead of reflection, he yelled.
What the fuck you
Oh, I am. I do.
He got defensive and he deflected. And I need to talk to you about what that outburst actually revealed. Because it's not just about Clifton Powell. It's about a pattern that so many of us have experienced, excused, and exhausted ourselves trying to understand. And before we get into it, this isn't about man bashing. This is about pattern recognition. It's about understanding the games that we've been taught to play our whole lives. But now that we have the information provided by Mr. Clifton, we can choose not to play them anymore. So pull up a chair, take a seat, and let's dive into it. Okay, so let me give you some context because sis, the irony is thick. This roundtable was called Black Men Trust Black Women, and the entire premise was supposed to be about how black men need to start trusting black women, why it is that we're worthy of their trust, and why our loyalty needs to be greater supported. And on top of that, why it is that we as women deserve reciprocity. But somehow, and tell me if you've seen this before, the conversation shifted into men defending themselves and their right to betray women and still demand understanding.
I am 69, be 70 in March. I've just learned how to love. Mm-hmm. Our parents didn't know how to love. Their parents didn't know how to love.
We can talk about, what our families did to us, all this, all that, but eventually, and I know why people try and say this, and I really don't like that, but eventually comes a point where you have to decide, how do I want to live my life?
So Clifton Powell is a veteran actor, and most of us grew up watching his movies and TV shows. Shoot, most of us know Clifton as Pinky. And Mr. Powell is around 70 years old, and he's sitting at this round table, and he admits that he hasn't really been the best romantic partner. He hasn't been faithful, and he hasn't always been honest. And he admits all this pretty openly. He spent his whole life, his 20s, his 30s, his 40s, his 50s, and his 60s mistreating women. And at this round table, he basically admits that he's made choices throughout his life that have caused extreme hurt to women. But things are different now. Now that he's 70 years old, he's ready. He's ready for something new. He wants stability. He wants a woman to settle down with. But just as he's discussing how he wants to settle down, Joseph enters the chat. Joseph is a younger man at the table. And I want you to catch this because it matters. Joseph is young. A younger man calls out Clifton and he essentially says, so you gave all of your best years to the streets. So you gave all of your best years to the streets. You treated women poorly. And now that you're older and need someone to take care of you, you're magically ready to settle down. And that's when Clifton, lost it.
To live my life right. I want someone to take care of me and protect me, and that's what a lot of women have issues with.
Because I'm living it right the fuck now.
As I said, I said 60s and 70s.
Let me say this.
Y'all overtalk me.
I'm gonna fucking overtalk you because you're talking out of line.
But you're not gonna disrespect me.
You don't know what the fuck you're talking
I
about.
am. I do. I do.
You don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Oh, I do.
You can't.
I do.
You don't know it, nigga.
I do. I'm good.
You don't know what the fuck you're doing. Get the fuck out of here. I'm living. You can't tell me what the fuck I'm living, nigga.
Now I want us to break down what happened here. Not the surface level drama. I want us to break down the behavioral pattern that's here. Because this is a master class. A master class at what women need to watch out for, need to be looking for, and need to protect themselves from. But before we go there, I need to make something clear. I need to say something very important. I'm not here to bash men. I'm not even here to say that all older men are like Clifton. What I am here to do is help you recognize patterns. The same patterns that your mom and your grandma missed. I want you to be wise. I want you to gain wisdom, set appropriate boundaries, and find and maintain your peace. Because you deserve that. And you matter. And let's be honest, you spent too many years being gaslit, being told that you're bitter, undesirable, because you didn't have a name for what was actually happening. Okay, sis, let's break it down. So what actually happened in that moment when Clifton got called out? Let me walk you through the psychological and emotional patterns at play. Because once you see them, you can't unsee them. And that's the point. Pattern number 1 is what I like to call the timeline scam. So here's what Clifton admitted, whether he meant to or not. He admitted that he gave his entire youth, his energy, his vitality, and his prime to the streets, to everyone else, to people that he didn't even feel like mattered. He gave it to everything except a committed, reciprocal partnership. And now that he's in his 70s and he needs companionship, emotional support, and physical presence, and let's be honest, he needs somebody to help take care of him. Now he's ready for a good woman. Notice that he never said that now he's a good man. He never said that he changed. He never discussed how he has grown or healed. What he said was, now he's ready for a good woman. Do you see the timeline? Because see, the truth is, as women, when you're at your prime, when you're vibrant, full of energy and beautiful, when you're in your pretty years, or at least by society standards, you're supposed to tolerate infidelity, inconsistency, emotional instability, and lies. You're supposed to wait until he's ready. You're supposed to understand that he's just trying to find himself and figure things out. But when you age, when you hit 40, 50, and 60, you're supposed to be grateful that a man has even chosen you. You're supposed to be grateful that a man even wants you at all. But when they age, and suddenly now they need someone, you're supposed to suddenly show up. You're supposed to show up with your labor, your bandwidth, your energy, your care, and your loyalty. Sis, the timeline is rigged. And Clifton Powell's admission, even in his defensiveness, reveals just that. The second pattern is what I like to call the accountability dodge. Now watch what happens when he gets called out. He didn't take any accountability. He didn't say, you're right, I messed up, I hurt people, and I'm really working to be a different man now. No, he didn't take any accountability. He didn't reflect, and he didn't apologize. He got loud, he got defensive, and he deflected. And this is textbook. When men like this get confronted with the consequences of their own actions, their own choices, they don't turn inward. They turn outward. They attack the messenger, they raise their voices, and they try to silence the conversation. They try to make you the problem for pointing out their patterns, for pointing out that they've hurt people. And here's what you need to catch. Here's what you need to notice. It took a man calling out another man for him to get defensive. Because it's not like women haven't been saying this for years. Women have been saying that men have been using you, spending their entire lives playing the field, having fun, only thinking about themselves, right up until they get old, right until it's time for a retirement plan, right up until they can't take care of themselves. And now all of a sudden they want to settle down. Now when it doesn't work anymore, they want to settle down. And what did the men do? The men called you bitter. They said you were a man hater, called you damaged, and said that you were going to die alone. Well, baby, I'm going to be honest with you. If the alternative is being married to someone like Clifton, alone me, please. Alone me, please. But notice when a man says it, when a younger man says it, when a younger man calls out his stuff, now it's suddenly a threat. Joseph wasn't called bitter. No one called him damaged. And no one said that he was going to die alone. Clifton got defensive. Joseph was a threat. And all of a sudden, Clifton needed to defend himself against said threat. But when it's a woman, your voice doesn't matter. Your voice gets silenced until it's echoed by a man. And now it matters. But even though it matters, there's still no accountability. Only aggression. Pattern number 3, projection. And this is where things get rich. Clifton Powell had the audacity to say that black women don't even know what you want. Let me say that again. A man who spent decades not knowing what he wanted, or knowing exactly what he wanted, but choosing chaos anyway, had the audacity to say that you don't know what you want. The irony. The projection. Textbook projection. Because here's the truth. You know exactly what you want. Women have always known what they've wanted. You want reciprocity. You want respect. You want partnership. You want emotional safety. You want a partner who's going to show up consistently, not just when it's convenient, not just when they're old and need someone to wipe their tail for them. And women have been clear. You want accountability when harm is caused. When your feelings are hurt, you want someone to be accountable. You want to be chosen intentionally, not settled for out of necessity. And what you don't want, what you've never wanted, is to be a placeholder, to be some man's retirement plan, be a nurse without a salary, to be his therapist without credentials, to be a mother to a grown man who refuses to grow up. You know what you want. The question is simple. Are they willing to provide it? And when they're not, do you have enough self-respect and integrity to walk away? Do they have enough integrity to admit it? Do they just gaslight you into believing that you're confused, that you're bitter, that you don't know what you want, even after you've been clear, when you've expressed exactly what you want, the wants that they're not willing to give you? You're not the confused one. They're manipulating and gaslighting you. But they don't want to admit that. They don't want to be accountable. They only want to project. Clifton Powell told on himself. And that outburst, that was the truth. That was the truth trying to get out and his ego trying to push it back in. That was projection. Pattern number 4, emotional manipulation. Okay, here's the last thing in this section, and then we're going to kind of zoom out and see the bigger picture. Notice the emotional escalation. Notice how his voice got louder. Notice the aggression in his tone. Notice how he tried to dominate the space. That's not passion. That's not even defensiveness. That's a silencing tactic. He wanted Joseph to be silent.
Overtalk
I'm gonna fucking overtalk you because you're talking out of line.
When someone raises their voice, interrupts, gets aggressive, especially when a conversation is about accountability, they're trying to make you back down. They want you to retreat. What they're trying to do is make the discomfort so big that you stop asking questions. They're banking on you choosing peace over truth. And for a lot of you, especially women who were raised to keep the peace, not to make waves, and not to make a scene, to soothe the male ego, this tactic is gold. It works. You back down. You drop it. You let them off the hook because the alternative just feels too hard. And they know that. So they get loud. They make you uncomfortable. And they're banking on that discomfort shutting you down. But sis, here's what I need you to know. When someone gets that defensive, when you simply ask them to take accountability for their own behavior, that's all the information you need. You don't need them to answer your questions. They've already answered it with their behavior. As a person who's actually grown, someone who's actually changed, who's truly ready for something more and something different, they're not going to start yelling when someone points out their past. They say, "You're right, I did that, and here's how I'm different now." But you'll only be met with that level of accountability if the person has actually grown. If they haven't grown and they're just seeking what it is that they want in the moment, you're going to be met with defensiveness. You're going to be met with manipulation. you're going to be met with projection in the hopes that you will back down, that you will betray yourself and your own desires and give in to what they want. They're hoping that you will abandon yourself and adopt them. Okay, so that's what I wanted to say about Clifton Powell's outburst and what it truly revealed. This wasn't about one man at one table. This was about the historic and traditional belief that men have a lifetime to make up their mind, and women should just sit around and wait for them. When the truth is, you deserve respect, you deserve reciprocity, and you deserve an equal amount of loyalty and love, because that's what you're giving. This was never about one man. This was about helping you see the patterns that society has conditioned you to ignore. This was about giving you language to the experiences that you've had, the experiences you've watched your mother, grandmother, and aunties have, that for generations, no one's really been able to put a name to. This was about reminding you of your boundaries, your standards, and reminding you that your peace matters. And if you've experienced this pattern, or even watched someone else experience this pattern, the pattern of, I'm ready now, after years of not being ready, I want you to know you're not crazy, you're not bitter, and you're not asking for too much. Truth? You're asking for the bare minimum. And the fact that that bare minimum feels like too much, that tells you everything you need to know about the person you're dealing with. So here's what I want from you. Drop a comment and let me know. Have you ever experienced this pattern? Or have you watched someone that you love go through this? And what did you learn? Let's talk about it. Because naming these patterns is how you protect yourself. And sharing our stories as women is how we stop feeling alone in this. And having these conversations, this is how we build a kind of community where women don't have to figure these things out in isolation. And if you're a man and you're watching this and you feel defensive, I want you to sit with that. Ask yourself why accountability feels like an attack. Ask yourself why you get scared and afraid when women set boundaries. Ask yourself if you've actually done the work or if you've just gotten older, if you've just aged. Because age doesn't equate with growth. It just means you've gotten old. And growth starts with accountability. It starts with discomfort. It starts with truth. If you want more conversations like this, conversations that make us smarter, sharper, and more boundaried, subscribe. Hit the notification bell and share this with a woman who needs to hear it. And as always, I love you and I hope you have an amazingly blessed day. Mwah. Bye.